Now, in this part of the negativity, right, we're just going to keep going with that. My favorite part of analyzing the Truman Show is understanding the people around you, right? Now, how does that relate to the negativity, the focus on negativity, right? In order to keep the facade going, you have to understand certain people are going to be placed around you, right? You can focus on the positive. This is why I said you're trying to find that one person that has good intention for you is like trying to find the needle in the haystack. Because just like 80%, he was trying to tell me that 80% of your mind is misinformation. Apply that to the people around you who are conditioned to that 80% of their mind being filled with misinformation. Do you expect them to give you proper information if 80% of the average mind is full of making up their own misinformation? Why would you take advice from these people? Now, let's say you have a therapist or a counselor, like I do. Your therapist or counselor went to school where they were conditioned and indoctrinated, right? To take in the information, right? This is still the information that tells you Christopher Columbus discovered America, Pluto was a planet. It changes whenever they've at random, whenever they got an agenda to push. They've also absorbed this 80% of misinformation. Why would I listen to you? But they'll, just like in the Truman Show, right? You got to understand certain people are set to be in your life to keep the gaslighting up, the gang stalking, gaslighting, MK Ultra, right? This is why my expectation, even the Bible tells you, do not put your expectation in men. Do not put your faith in men, right? Because it got to the level of control where they needed to have somebody in place for his wife. This is why I said when John came to me, I was surprised that I saw him that day, but I wasn't surprised. I already knew he was gonna, pop up at some point. I'm gonna see him again. Because again, that's part of the Stockholm syndrome and everything. They're supposed to throw a familiar face. No, I really don't want to be 80%. All you need to do is understand that 80% of the people around you are misinformation. That's how you got to look at the people. They are misinformation. They are just negative, right? I've seen so many people lingering in the sidelines even before they get to the shelter, right? I can see them on the street and I can go, based on their movements, I can go, that's going to be one of the people that's either my roommate or they're going to try to come and talk to me because they'll have this weird look and they'll just be staring at you. Then I'm like, oh, that's going to be one of the roommates. It's happened every time. Every time, 100% accuracy so far. I've pointed them out on the street before they came into the shelter, and I'm like, just based on the weirdness of their behavior, I'm like, that's gonna be one of our roommates. I can tell. I can tell. Right? Same thing with the people in the Truman Show, right? 80%. The majority of the people around you are the misinformation. The 80% of the people around you want negativity for you. Because some of them don't know any better, right? It's supposed to be like trauma bonding. This is where you get situationships and all of this stuff from all this trauma bonding and trauma-based mind control or fear-based mind control. This is why John was coming, I stop being afraid and all of this stuff. Bro, right? You gotta understand this. This is the depth of it. This is why a lot of the people, they be like, oh, why are you so quiet? They'll tell you that, introverts are to themselves. But then if an introvert goes to to the doctor and goes, yeah, I'm to myself. I don't really speak to too many people. Oh, he's antisocial. They're gonna give you a label, right? In order to try to push you back into the form of misinformation. That can't be your natural disposition because if you're antisocial based on their label, it conflicts with the fact that we're supposed to be social creatures, right? Like Krishnamurti would tell you in his saying, so they say, it is no measure of great health to be conditioned to a profoundly sick society, or to be well acclimated to a profoundly sick society. If 80% of the population is sick and you're in the healthy 20%, that 80% is going to tell you you are not normal because what do they see around them? Other people like them. right? And another thing is that I learned from the Truman Show, that just watching the psychology of the gang stalking that they did to Truman. People are like NPCs, right? Not even just NPCs. Some of them are just like programmed, but they're actors, right? This is how why Mag calls it the world stage. They're actors. Just like his wife, she's advertising and all of this stuff. This is the same thing that they get us to do on social media and everything. You're supposed to advertise yourself. That's pretty much what social media is, in order to fit into the society, right? A lot of the people are actors. They are taking, they are dealing with you based on information that they get to others and with an agenda. The wife's job is to not make you think that she's an actor. She's supposed to play the role of a wife. She in her head knows she's not really your wife. But you're not supposed to understand that she's not really your wife. Your friend is supposed to play the role of your friend. But he's not really your friend. That's just the role. And then you have to go deeper and understand. This is why focusing on the negative helps. Because if you just look at the positive, like he did this for me, but there was an intention behind this, right? He fed me this, that, the third. But all of that was fake. If you don't focus on that negative, you don't see that. But once Truman saw it, he's like, oh shit. And then this is my favorite part. I say it every time. The guy in the sky, right? The dude who's sitting in the office and stuff behind the computer with the glasses. It's just like this everywhere else. That means the majority of the world, not everybody, but the majority of the world is doing the same thing. Right? I haven't heard not one positive thing about a Commonwealth state since I've been here. Every time something negative happens, they go, "This is a Commonwealth state," as if I'm supposed to expect that to be negative. Like that's the majority of this state. It's not supposed to be fair. Fair. I understand that. Now you're pointing out the unfairness. They don't want you to do that. So what am I supposed to? If 80% of it is unfair, and I point it out, right? I can see that. Does that not mean that 80% of my brain can see through it, and then the 20% might be misinformation? Of course, I don't know the full fact, right? I don't know what they do when they go to these Freemason meetings or cult ritual meetings and stuff. I don't know what they do. That's in the 20% that I don't know. I can see what you, or maybe, maybe that is the 80%. Maybe I think I know a little something, but they're doing something way worse. But I already expect the worst, or at least what I think to be the worst. They say the truth is stranger than fiction, right? But I don't live in my imagination, because you read the Bible. What does it say? The heart of man, the imagination of the heart of man is nothing but wickedness. So you just gotta understand. Okay, the majority of them in their minds is imagine, or their heart's imagination is wickedness. So they would operate. And then you just think of the most wicked things. If you've heard it in the news, go worse than that. Just like they tell you, oh, this kid's starving in Africa, it could be worse for you. Okay, take the worst case person who ain't got no legs. I can then go, well, damn, there's somebody without legs or arms, and it just gets worse. There's somebody who's just a head floating in a tank right now. Hey, science will make it happen, and then it'll be like the most miserable person, right? It could, who knows? You don't know how deep it goes, right? But of course, like I said, just like they do with the people, putting them into strategic locations to try to gangstar and gaslight you, you feel me? It's the same thing. The people are the misinformation. They push misinformation. The ones who know the truth, if they're not going to tell you the truth, they're going to spread lies. That's it. The father of lies. That's why a lot of these people, no matter if they believe in Norse mythology, Celtic, all of that stuff, Vikings, it's all falling into the Satans because you're deceived or you're being deceived, right? If you got that gig as somebody's wife, knowing that they're not supposed to know that they're, you know, that you're not your wife, right? You got to think of the mental state of that person. There is nothing but negative intention. The whole intention is to gaslight you in the first place. But you're supposed to focus on the good times you had together. You're not supposed to know. So is that really a good intention? If y'all walking on the beach together, this, that, the third? When in the back of your mind, you know I'm duping this person for to the wazoo. That's how I feel about therapists. You know how they say dupers delight and all of these things. The therapists, the counselors, all of these people at conference and churches, they used to come up, right, trying to do their script on the slide. Oh, secret society. Okay, yeah, I understand. I don't trust you. Right now, it's just you're beneficial to me. Now I gotta move like a weirdo, like you in a sense. In order to, until I can completely detach myself, I gotta navigate through and pretend, which I don't even like to do. Hence the high blood pressure. Just all of that is stress. That's extra stress. And these are the same people who I got ADHD, ADD. So you fucked up too, and you're trying to project that on me. But that's what the people around you are set to do. They're set to project their mental illness. It's like the Matrix. Everybody's pretty much trying to turn you into a Smith. That's how you got to look at people. They don't have a good intention for you. Their only intention is for you to be like them, and they're negative people. And you got to be the one that stands out, me, right? But in order to do that, you have to be able to discern the negative from the positive, or else you just be ignorant and you'll naturally go to it. That's why they call the whole movement woke, or you're awake to the truth now. Now you have a choice to make whether you want to join the negative